Now imagine this. You're playing a board game with your friend. This is player 1. You are him and you get to make the first move. And this is player 2. He seems to have a very clever strategy to beat you. Uh-oh, in a real life situation, you'll most likely lose. But let me give you a word of advice. Steal his strategy. Let me show you what I mean. These are our two players, where player 1 makes the first move. Let's define the winning strategy as the function s of m. And in order for it to be considered a good strategy, it must always work, no matter what the circumstance is. In this case, player 2 has and will use this strategy, and we'll see what happens. The first move, m1, is made by player 1, and player 2 reacts with this strategy. The next move comes from player 1 again, and this keeps repeating. Eventually, player 2 wins, since s of m is such a good strategy. This is what will normally happen if you find yourself in this situation. But what if player 1 uses s of m, or as the name suggests, steals the strategy s of m? The problem here is that player 1 and player 2 both use this strategy, so it is a bit difficult to determine the winner. However, it is an important fact to consider that player 1 will always be a move ahead of player 2, since player 1 starts. That means he will always have the upper hand. But if having an extra move is bad in this game, then the whole strategy stealing argument doesn't work, so keep that in mind. Player 1 makes his move, and player 2 uses the strategy, for which player 1 uses the strategy until the game ends. But who wins? We can split this up in two cases. Case 1 is where player 1 wins or the game draws, but that means a strategy such as s of m doesn't exist, since this strategy was supposed to win in every single game no matter the scenario, but player 2 just couldn't win in this case, and that's a contradiction. There also really isn't a case 2, because player 2 can't possibly win. Player 1 just has that upper hand with the extra move. Through that, we are able to say that player 2 does not have a winning strategy, and through that, player 2 can't win. That means player 1 should win or draw all the time. So it turns out, player 2, your opponent, has been lying about that clever strategy all along. But in order for strategy stealing argument to work, the game has to be symmetrical, and having an extra move is not allowed to be a disadvantage. If this is true, then player 1 must always win or draw, if played perfectly. A great example is tic-tac-toe. In games where you can't draw, player 1 must always win. I found this very fascinating because this argument in game theory tells us that a player must win without giving us a specific strategy. I hope you found this video interesting. Thank you very much for watching.